I didn't realize it was. I can't even talk. I didn't realize it was St. Patrick's Day, and I'm not wearing green. Now I'm all dressed and comfortable, and now I want to go change my clothes. I don't want to get pinched. Nobody's gonna pinch me, but it's today, right? I didn't realize it until I typed out the date. I'm gonna stick with what I got on. There's no green in this, but that's okay. Oh, I have green nails. All right. Justice for the people. Deuteronomy 16:18 through 17:13, 1405 or 1239 BC. Appoint judges and officials for yourselves from each of your tribes and all the towns the Lord your God is giving you. They must judge the people fairly. You must never twist justice or show partiality. Never accept a bribe, for bribes blind the eyes of the wise and corrupt the decisions of the godly. Let true justice prevail, so you may live and occupy the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You must never set up a wooden Asherah pole beside the altar you build for the Lord your God, and never set up sacred pillars for worship, for the Lord your God hates them. Never sacrifice sick or defective cattle, sheep, or goats to the Lord your God, for he detests such gifts. When you begin living in the town the Lord your God is giving you, a man or a woman among you might do evil in the sight of the Lord your God and violate the covenant. For instance, they might serve other gods or worship the sun or moon or any of the stars, the forces of heaven, which I have strictly forbidden. When you hear about it, investigate the matter thoroughly. If it is true that this detestable thing has been done in Israel, then the man or woman who has committed such an evil act must be taken to the gates of the town and stoned to death. But never put a person to death on the testimony of only one witness. There must always be 2 or 3 witnesses. The witness must throw the first stone, and then all the people may join in. In this way, you will purge the evil from among you. Suppose a case arises in a local court that is too hard for you to decide. For instance, whether someone is guilty of murder or only manslaughter, or a difficult lawsuit, or a case involving different kinds of assault. Take such legal cases to the place the Lord your God will choose and present them to the Levitical priests or judge them on duty at that time, or the judge on duty at that time. They will hear the case and declare the verdict. You must also carry out the verdict they announce and the sentence they prescribe at the place the Lord chooses. You must do exactly what they say. After they have interpreted the law and declared their verdict, the sentence they impose must be fully executed. Do not modify it in any way. Anyone arrogant enough to reject the verdict or of the judge or the priest who represents the Lord your God must die. In this way you will purge the evil from Israel, and then everyone else will hear about it and be afraid to act so arrogantly. Guidelines for a king, Deuteronomy 17:14 through 20. You are about to enter the land the Lord your God is giving you. When you take it over and settle there, you may think, we should select a king to rule over us like the other nations around us. If this happens, be sure to select as king the man the Lord your God chooses. You must appoint the fellow Israelite. He may not be a foreigner. The king must not build up large stable of horses for himself or send the people to Egypt to buy horses, for the Lord has told you, you must never return to Egypt. The king must not take many wives for himself, because they will turn his heart away from the Lord. And he must not accumulate large amounts of wealth in silver or gold for himself. Oh my gosh!
I'm sorry. You didn't see it, but my head was sticking over that way, and I didn't mean to.
You scared me. What's up?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to ask a quick question.
Okay.
That dress I bought.
Yeah.
Look, I know it was for.
I don't care. If you want to wear it today, go ahead.
I don't really have anything else for you to wear.
Okay. All right. Let me finish devotions, okay? Yes, you can wear that dress. She scared the living daylights out of me.
Sorry.
All right. When he sits on the throne as king, he must occupy for himself this body of instruction on a scroll in the presence of the Levitical priests. He must always keep that copy with him and read it daily as long as he lives. That way, he will learn to fear the Lord his God by obeying all the terms of these instructions and decrees. The regular reading will prevent him from becoming proud and acting as if he is above his fellow citizens. It will prevent him from turning away from these commands in the smallest way, and it will ensure that he and his descendants will reign for many generations in Israel. Gifts for the priests and Levites, Deuteronomy 18, 1 through 8. Go get ready for church. Okay, I got the dog under control. Go get ready for church, okay? Go get ready for church. Gifts for the priests and Levites, Deuteronomy 18, 1 through 8. Remember that the Levitical priests, that is, the whole tribe of Levi, will receive no allotment of land among the other tribes of Israel. Instead, the priests and Levites will eat from the special gifts given to the Lord, for that is their share. They will have no land of their own among the Israelites. The Lord himself is their special possession, just as he promised them. These are the parts the priests may claim as their share from the cattle, sheep, and goats, and people bring as offerings on their shoulders, the cheeks, and the stomach. You must also give the priest the first share of the grain, the new wine, the olive oil, and the wool at shearing time. For the Lord your God chose the tribe of Levi out of all of your tribes to minister in the Lord's name forever. Suppose a Levite chooses to move on from his town in Israel, wherever he is living, to the place the Lord chooses for worship. He may minister there in the name of the Lord his God, just like his fellow Levites who are serving the Lord there. He may eat his share of the sacrifice and offerings, even if he also receives support from his family. A call to holy living, Deuteronomy 18, 9 through 14. When you enter the land the Lord your God is giving you, be careful not to imitate the detestable customs of the nations living there. For example, never sacrifice your son or daughter as a burnt offering, and do not let your people practice fortune-telling, or use sorcery, or interpret omens, or engage in witchcraft, or cast spells, or function as mediums or psychics, or call forth the spirits of the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. It is because the other nations have done these detestable things that the Lord your God will drive them out ahead of you. But you must be blameless before the Lord your God. The nations you are about to displace consult sorcerers and fortune tellers, but the Lord your God forbids you to do such things. True and false prophets, Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 22. Moses continued, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him, for this is what you yourselves requested of the Lord your God when you were assembled at Mount Sinai. You said, don't let us hear the voice of the Lord our God anymore or see this blazing fire, for we will die. Then the Lord said to me, what they have said is right. I will raise up a prophet like you from among the fellow Israelites. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell the people everything I command him. I will personally deal with anyone who will not listen to the messages of the prophet proclaims on my behalf. But any prophet who falsely claims to speak in my name or who speaks in the name of another God must die. But you may wonder, how will we know whether or not the prophecy is from the Lord? If the prophet speaks in the Lord's name, but his prediction does not happen or come true, you will know that the Lord your God did not give you that message. That prophet has spoken without my authority and need not to be feared. Cities of refuge, Deuteronomy 19, 1 through 13. When the Lord your God destroys nations whose land he is giving you, when the Lord your God destroys the nations whose land he is giving you, you will take over their land and settle in their towns and homes. Then you must set apart 3 cities of refuge in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Survey the territory and divide the land the Lord your God is giving you into 3 districts, with one of these cities in each district. Then anyone who has killed someone can flee to one of the cities of refuge for safety. If someone kills another person unintentionally without previous hostility, the slayer may flee to any of these cities to live in safety. For example, suppose someone goes into the forest with a neighbor to cut wood, and suppose one of them swings an axe to chop down a tree, and the axe head flies off the handle, killing the other person. In such cases, the slayer may flee to one of the cities of refuge to live in safety. If the distance to the nearest city of refuge is too far, an enraged avenger might be able to chase down and kill the person who caused the death. Then the slayer would die unfairly, since he had never shown hostility towards the person who died. That is why I am commanding you to set aside 3 cities of refuge. And if the Lord your God enlarges your territory, as he swore to your ancestors, and gives you all the land he promised them, you must designate 3 additional cities of refuge. He will give you this land if you are careful to obey all the commands I have given you. If you always love the Lord your God and walk in his ways, that way you will prevent the death of innocent people in the land the Lord your God is giving you as your special possession. You will not be held responsible for the death of innocent people. But suppose someone is hostile towards a neighbor and deliberately ambushes and murders him and then flees to one of the cities of refuge. In that case, the elders of the murderer's hometown must send agents to the city of refuge to bring him back and hand him over to the dead person's avenger to be put to death. Do not feel sorry for that murderer. Purge from Israel the guilt of murdering innocent people. Then all will go well with you. Concern for justice, Deuteronomy 19:14-21. When you arrive in the land the Lord your God is giving you as your special possession, you must never steal anyone's land by moving the boundary markers your ancestors set up to mark their property. You must not convict anyone of a crime of the testimony of only one witness. The facts of the case must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If a malicious witness comes forward and accuses someone of a crime, then both the accuser and the accused must appear before the Lord by coming to the priest and the judges in office at that time. The judges must investigate the case thoroughly. If the accuser has brought false charges against his fellow Israelite, you must impose on the accuser the sentence he intended for the other person. In this way, you will purge such evil from among you. Then the rest of the people will hear about it and be afraid to do such evil things. You must show no pity for the guilty. Your rule should be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Regulations concerning war, Deuteronomy 21-20. When you go out and fight your enemies and you face horses and chariots and an army greater than your own, do not be afraid. The Lord your God, who you brought out of the land of Egypt, is with you. When you prepare for battle, the priest must come forward to speak to the troops. He will say to them, "Listen to me, all you men of Israel. Do not be afraid as you go out to fight your enemies today. Do not lose heart or panic or tremble before them, for the Lord your God is going with you. He will fight for you against your enemies, and he will give you victory." Then the officers of the army must address the troops and say, "Has anyone here built a new house but not yet dedicated it? If so, you may go home. You might be killed in the battle, and someone else would dedicate your house. Has anyone here just planted a vineyard but not yet eaten any of its fruit? If so, you may go home. You might die in a battle, and someone else would eat the first fruit. Has anyone here become engaged to a woman but not yet married her? Well, you may go home and get married. You might die in battle, and someone else would marry her." Then the officer will also say, "Is anyone here afraid or worried? If you are, you may go home before you frighten anyone else." When the officers have finished speaking to their troops, they will appoint the unit commanders. As you approach a town to attack it, you must first offer its people terms for peace. If they accept your terms and open the gates to you, then all the people inside will serve you in forced labor. But if they refuse to make peace and prepare to fight, you must attack the town. When the Lord your God hands the town over to you, use your swords to kill every man in the town. But you may keep for yourselves all the women, children, livestock, and other plunder. You may enjoy the plunder from your enemies that the Lord your God has given you. But these instructions apply only to distant towns, not the towns of the nations in the land you will enter. In those towns that the Lord your God is giving you as a special possession, destroy every living thing. You must completely destroy the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, just as the Lord your God has commanded you. This will prevent the people of the land from teaching you to imitate their detestable customs and the worship of their gods, which would cause you to sin deeply against the Lord your God. When you are attacking a town and a war drags on, you must not cut down the trees with your axes. You may eat the fruit, but do not cut down the trees. Are the trees your enemies that you should attack them? You may only cut down trees that you know are not valuable for food. Use them to make the equipment that you need to attack the enemy towns until it falls. Cleansing for unsolved murder, Deuteronomy 21:1-9. When you are in the land the Lord your God is giving you, someone may be found murdered in a field, and you don't know who committed the murder. In such a case, your elders and judges must measure the distance from the site of the crime to the nearby towns. When the nearest town has been determined, that town's elders must select from the herd a heifer that has never been trained or yoked to a plow. They must lead it down to a valley that has not been plowed or planted and that has a stream running through it. There in the valley, they must break the heifer's neck. Then the Levitical priests must step forward, for the Lord your God has chosen them to minister before him and to pronounce blessings in the Lord's name. They are to decide all legal criminal cases. The elders of the towns must wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken. Then they must say, "Our hands did not shed this person's blood, nor did we see it happen." O Lord, forgive your people Israel, whom you have redeemed. Do not charge your people with the guilt of murdering an innocent person. Then they will be absolved of the guilt of this person's blood. By following these instructions, you will do what is right in the Lord's sight and will cleanse the guilt of murder from your community. That dog. Oh. All right. We are on page 92 of our poems. This one is titled Press On. When death knocks at the door and Satan opens the door, press on. When loneliness and grief has tormented, you don't understand and your mind becomes more tormented, press on. Clouds of doubt, discouragement has clouded your mind. Your total existence is put on the line, press on. Persecution has come to torment today. Promises of God outweigh anything that comes your way. Press on. Those that seek shall truly find, for the kingdom of God can truly be mine. You must press into the kingdom realm, eyes on Jesus, the word from heaven. These are the keys given to those chosen by him. Press on. Really? Really? Calm yourself, grumpy man. All right, let me read through the chat here. Enjoy church, Jackie. Cindy says, I'm struggling emotionally and physically today. Part of it, my fault for staying up so late last night. I appreciate the prayers. I've had emotional and mental issues since I was a child and much recent trauma and loss. God has been so good to me, however. We'll be praying for you, Cindy. Those days are hard. Those days are hard. So we will cover you in prayer. I thought the same thing when I was reading that. I was like, I needed that today. Press on. And it does, right, Cindy? It totally applies to your comment. Press on. I love that. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and end in prayer. Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to come to you today. Thank you for the blessings of each woman here coming together to join before you, our King. And I pray, God, that it honors you today. I pray as we go through our day, help us to keep our eyes focused on you. Help us to press on no matter what is going on in our day and the difficulties that we may face. And I pray specifically for Cindy and the situation she's in today. God, I just pray that you will remind us that you are sovereign and you are here and we can with confidence press on. God, I just thank you for all that you do for us. And I thank you for your love. I thank you for your grace. I thank you for your mercy. And I thank you most of all for your son, Christ, and the sacrifice that was given to us. In your precious name I pray. Amen. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. I'm headed off to church. I got to go eat some breakfast before I go. And head to church. Yeah. All right, guys. I love you. Thanks for joining me this morning, and I'll see you back soon. Oh, let me hang up. Bye, guys.